Welcome back to On the Nose. And once again, as usual, I'm joined in studio by Thad Taylor. Thad Taylor, welcome along again.
Always a pleasure, Paulie. Always a pleasure.
Righty-ho, let's get straight into it.
Why not?
We'll look back at last Saturday. We'll start with Riccarton. And by the looks of things, the bookies got off to a great start in race one.
Looked like it, didn't it?
Yeah.
The dreaded dead heat, Paul. Sorry, no, not the dead heat. The dreaded protest payout. No, Vern was the winner past the post, and it was overturned. Mystic Park, we pay on the winner, which was No Vern, which was actually $3 out to $3.40. It was Thunderfist that was $4.16 to $3.10, which started favourite up the top of the book. But look, Mystic Ocean was 16 out to 19. No Vern was solid enough without being spectacularly backed, $3 out to $3.40. Thunderfist, I mentioned the money there. Contest was a first starter for Anna Furlong. There was good money there. I don't know what to make of that because her runners are often very well backed, but there was good money for Contest. I can let you know there. And the Tiako runner, Portia Katonis, we saw no money for it. Finished fourth, $6.50 out to $10. You'd want to see a push around Portia Katonis before you got interested, I would suggest. So, yes, it would have been a winning start to the day had it not been for the second versus first protest being upheld and our customers being paid.
Twice. Well, not twice, but
both first and second were paid as winners.
If you took a fixed odds win bet.
Correct.
Race two, over the 1,200 metres, and wow, a $10 shot gets home. So surely you get it. You get some back here.
Yeah, Tiaka had 3 or 4 in the race. They had plenty anyway, to be fair. And when that happens, sometimes the mail is for one and then not the other two, and the other two aren't backed like the prices they should be, if you know what I mean.
So was this the one that was backed?
No. The one that was backed was Hooray for Harry. We're minus 106,000 on Hooray for Harry, who ran second, but never looked like the winner. Hooray for Harry, because Knowledge is Power, coming off a spell, ran very well, never gave anything else a look. And $7.50 up to $9, but was plus 30,000. Avitas was $7.50 into $6.50, a move there. But again, that isn't the first time that's happened around Avitas, and he hasn't managed to yelp. So, Hell Dancer was solid. That ran a good race. The runner Moon Money, hello, down the outside. I think you probably would have backed Moon Money before up north, Paul.
I have.
Former Northerner. Had one run down south of Limprendergast and was a little bit unlucky. The zero in the form line didn't tell the story. 34 into 16, if you watch the run, boomed down the outside to run fourth. Looked like it had almost run third, to be honest. Follow Moon Money wherever it goes next up down south, would be my advice. 34 into 16 and was arguably the run of the race. In fact, it was the run of the race.
Race 3, it was over the mile, and those tangerine colours are to the fore once again, with the favourite getting home, Star Shadow.
Yep, and with the Tiako runner, they could focus their attention on this one, and they did. It was $3.60 into $3.20, back to $3.60, minus 25,000. Mike McCann had 2 in the race. They were both first up, Shadar and Baluta. Shadar was 20 into 13 and ran fourth, and Baluta was a bit unlucky, and it was getting laid all over by the stablemate in Shadar. Baluta was 21 into $11 and was fractionally unlucky. He was sort of held up, or just being niggled by the stablemate down the outside, couldn't get clear running. So watch both those Mike McCann runners, Baluta and Shadar, but Tiako Salute again, $3.60 into $3.20, back to $3.60 late, but minus 25,000 Star Shadow.
Race 4, also over the mile, and Bella Luce.
I think they say Luce, but
Luce?
Yeah, my Italian's as good as my African, Paul, so I'm not 100% sure, but Bella Luce, that was what the commentator said. And look, again, another former Northerner, and who ran in some good races and some strong races and had some strong form lines. It was 11 into $9.50, back to $11. But fair to say customers missed it to a degree, plus 25,000. Flat Stanley was one of these drifting favourites that customers liked, 5 out to $9, minus 55,000. 3 movers to take note of here. A Generation Joy again. Not this happened last time, and it happened again. It wasn't a bad run, boxed on. What I said last time was wait till it gets back to Wingatui. Well, it was at Riccarton again. Wait till it gets back to Wingatui.
Right again.
Generation
We'll mark
Joy.
that one down.
Yeah. Well, we did. 17 into 8. Victorian Charm ran a heck of a race. It was 9 into $5. That was a genuine market mover, minus 45,000. And Verdian, 21 into $10. So Generation Joy, Victorian Charm, and Verdian are the market movers there, but they missed Bella Luce, plus 25,000.
Race 5 was over the 1,400 metres. We get a roughie home here. Vanderdonk, nice ride by Corey Campbell, trained by Joanne Hillis. A good one for us.
Yeah, he's a horse that's well supported, and but it was plus 30,000 just with the number of runners that they were backing. It's quite a sort of static market in terms of pricing here. Tommy Shelby ran a good second, but he's usually a horse that gets heavily backed. He was $5 out to $9 in a winning result. Gemma Flitz, 14 into 9, ran a very good race. Was in amongst the place getters there, so mark Gemma Flitz down. Fun Fetty, $7 into $5. And actually the worst result in the race was the David Walsh trained Toa Haka. But again, it didn't really budge around its price, minus 60,000. Not a lot of movement, to be fair. Vanderdonk plus 30.
Race 6 was for the juveniles, and you got saved here, Thad, by a Manawatu visitor.
Yeah.
A Bona Sforza.
Yeah.
Out at around 20 odd. In fact, I think drifted on the day as well, and beat the hot favourite. So,
yeah.
You got saved.
We got saved. Zelia was obviously all the rage, and when Croupier won at Wellington, that was sort of everyone's double on the day there, Zelia and Croupier, and they got half of it. It was minus 60,000 Zelia. Bonus Sforza, great for debut win in a very good race, the Welcome Stakes. So
off a nice trial.
Yeah, exactly. Congratulations to the Finnegans there to get the job done there, and a Finnegan runner, even though it was the first starter, had a modicum of support. Plus 30,000 though, because Zelia was so well back. She's a Scorcher was a losing result. Andrew Carston. So maybe mark that down. There was good support for She's a Scorcher at odds. And look, Queen's Evidence was, we opened on the same line as Best Rose. Look, Best Rose didn't run a great race, to be fair, but Queen's Evidence really easy. 420 out to 850. So might suggest that of those two, the stable prefer Best Rose, although that wasn't really shown in that race. But yeah, we needed Zelia beaten. It happened for us. Bonus Sforza, plus 30.
Race 7, over the 1,200 metres down. And it was Tiki at around $6 or $7.
Yeah.
Was that a good result or not?
Was for a change.
Wow.
Tiki isn't usually a great result.
No, and with Tina.com on board.
Exactly. And that was thanks to Mystic Park, who was rock solid in the market. $4 into $3.60. It was minus 60,000. South of Houston, when we got the confirmation on Saturday. Don't say it. Don't say it.
All righty.
Yeah, no, we've got to stick with South of Houston. Ran a good race. There wasn't a lot of money for it, which is, again, a little bit unusual. So Tiki and South of Houston, although they ran the Cornella, they didn't really want to know them because Mystic Park was minus 60. Tiki plus 45, $5 out to 6.
Very nice. Race 8 over the 1,600 metres, and Dream of the Moon with George Rook aboard. And it's Walker Burgess, and once again.
Yeah, we got caught. We got done here, to be fair, Paul, with Dream of the Moon. And look, I can understand why at that price, because if you backed it at the start prior where it was paying $8, was it a 65? Well, behind Callanzor anyway, it was favourite and ran 8th, but then vetted with a slow recovery. So it was $3.60 that day. So if you can forgive it for that slow recovery, then the $11 the team put up looked very juicy, and the supporters pounced. It was the worst result in the race. It was Dream of the Moon, 11 into $9, minus 70,000. Gee, they got it right with Canelo as well, to be fair. That started favourite ahead of Loose Sally. It was 650 into 420, and that ran second. I say unlucky, probably not unlucky, but it was getting home very strongly, but a little bit more luck would have been even closer. But look, Loose Sally had support, Callanzor had support. It was a good betting race. Even Lily had a little bit of a move, but they got us well and truly here. The Canelo 650 into 420 was second. Dream of the Moon 11 into 9 was the worst way for the TAB, minus 70,000.
Market was right on the money there. Race 9 over the mile, and Third Degree with Kylie Williams aboard for the Pittman stable.
Yeah, a lot of well-backed runners in this race, as you could imagine in the TAB Southern Alps Challenge. Look, perfect scenario. Matt Scott, both popular horses. Matt Scott was a bit stiff.
The defending champ?
Yeah, the defending champ, correct. He was humming home after getting shut out of a gap. Perfect scenario, ran another honest race, and they both take a lot of money, those horses. Lofty's Gifts continues to take a poultice. He was about minus 50,000 out there at $11. But Third Degree, even though it was 12 into $9, so there was some interest there, was plus 60,000. Our approval, the Enton runner, right down the bottom of the book, 41 into $16. and just no luck at all. No luck. Terry never really got to open the shoulders, get the windmill action, the old Terry Mosley windmill action going on our approval. And it's eligible for 75 grade and the like. Boy, oh boy, watch our approval. It was a good run. They nearly got it right. They just never got a crack at them. But third degree plus 60, watch out for our approval. Mark that down wherever it goes.
Our final race of the day at Riccarton, it was over 2,000 metres. And, well, did we get out of jail here? We were okay. Was it an okay result?
It was okay, Jaffa. It was 12 into 950 plus 20,000. And that was for the fact that, well, there are a few movers, there were a few moving parts. They were good, excellent, big betting fields all day. So we can afford to make a little slip up on the odd occasion and sort of get away with it potentially because there's a number to back. Musaif was well backed. Rockmont was a mover. Malfi Rose was looking for 3 in a row. That was a mover. Didn't yelp on Saturday. And Royal Valor as well ended up being the Tabby Hot Horse. That was a mover as well. So they backed a few here. Jaffa as well, to a degree, was 12 into 950 plus 20,000 in the last race, which gave us approximately 140,000 at Riccarton Park.
Nice day for the bookies at Riccarton. Let's move on up to Trentham. Race 1 it was over 1,300 metres, and we get $17, $18 shot faultless to start the day off. So a great start for bookies, obviously.
You just praying I'm going to say no, but it wasn't bad. Pretty good. I mean, it was all but it might have been the outsider in the race. Faultless, led all the way. Look, the Tiakau runner, Du Jardin, I feel like it was sort of backed because they weren't sure what to back. And I know that was probably disrespectful to a degree, and I don't mean it as such. But it sort of looked the obvious and then ended up moving from $2.40 to $1.70 and had its chance, to be fair. The horse that was one of the losing results, and there were only 2 in the race, Du Jardin, the other one was Rufus for Andrew Forsman, and they were backing this as soon as we opened. We opened $16. It started at $10, ran second, and was a losing result. So Rufus might be something to mark down in your books. But yeah, interesting way to start the day. It was plus 25 faultless at the end of it all.
Look, they are juveniles. So
yeah. No one can be too confident, can they? Yeah.
Race 2 and a $30 shot from the Rogerson barn. Sharp enough. And if I remember correctly, I think Stephen Hunt may have had this in his numbers. He thought it was a nice outsider, a bit of a roughie.
They brought my mood down a bit. Yeah. $30, yeah, plus 25,000. All for the fact that Forsner, the first starter for Alan Sharrock, was minus 100,000. 420 into 340. Look, the marketplace gave a few a chance late against Forsner, just with its profile. It was probably always going to just be taken on to a degree by the marketplace late, even though the customers wanted to be on, if you can understand what I mean there. Sandpoint and Celtic Bling both shortened up in that market late. And watch out for a horse called Can Johnny Be Good. It was 26 into 14, first up for Fred Pratt. It came from last and was slightly unlucky. So there's another one at odds just to mark down. Can Johnny Be Good? But Forsner getting beat and Alan Sharrock getting beat with a first starter and no trials tends to be a fairly profitable recipe for us.
Race 3 over the 2,200 metres, and Craig Grills gets Rainbow Delight home for Andrew Forsman.
Yeah, I described this market as a mess on Saturday, and it was a mess. And not the customer's fault, obviously. It was just the horses we had favourite here, Trans Ed and Comedy, just blew pretty much at every call, and that meant they backed everything basically else, bar those 2, and they were everyone was in pretty good shape. Rev It Up Rusty was 14 into 6. That ran third in the race. Smart Road for Alan Sharrock, 11 into 6. And Tuesday ran an excellent race to run second, was a 17 into 11. And Rainbow Delight was the only one I haven't mentioned, which was minus 10,000 the winner, was 11 into 7, just back to 9 late with all that movement. But yeah, it was a funny market. It was a market we didn't get right, and customers took advantage of that fact and locked in some very good prices on sort of the remainder of the field, but all in the wash. Rainbow Delight was a small loss of minus 10.
Race 4 over the 1,400 metres, and here we go. The good thing for the day, Croupier.
How good. Oh, Brisbane campaign in the offing. Fingers crossed for Croupier. Oh, this race was a classic, Paul. I mean, they absolutely stitched us up. There was no way out. I mean, Croupier was $2.70 into $1.70. Kid got gears for Lisa Latta, came out of a very strong race. I think the team would like the pricing back. It was 15 into $4. And Afternoon Siesta was a first starter for the Fannin team, which was just, so I say rock solid. It was around 7 out to 9, but something had to drift. Everything else drifted a lot more, including Let's All Boogie. And Afternoon Siesta sort of held on from around 7 to 9, and that was the trifecta. I think the trifecta paid $20. We were absolutely stuffed here. But Croupier was the worst way, and rightfully so, and everyone's multis got home. $2.70 into $1.70. Kid got gears, $15 into $4. They were the two big movers.
Race 5 and French Doll, I think, who's been mentioned before on the nose, gets home at around $12.
Yeah, this is why I think this 20 minutes has got legs, Paul, and I honestly do believe that. We mentioned French Doll last time out at Trentham, went from $21 into $12 and got back to last and was seen flashing home. And we said, oh, look, you'll be wanting to follow French Doll at odds at its next start off the back of that run. And the next run, it was $17 to $11 and duly saluted. So what we're trying to do is match up the market movement with the good runs. So we're trying to see the things that the marketplace likes, that run accordingly, and then follow. And French Doll was one of them. So $17 to $11, no one was listening to me. So hopefully, our sort of brethren here will start to get involved.
Start to catch on.
Start to catch on. Mark these runners down if they're sort of running on. The likes of a Baluta we talked about there, the likes of a Victorian Charm at Riccarton. So French Doll, 17 to 11, plus 40,000. Spalari, 6 into 370 was the market mover. Very good run. Great Escape for Rosie Fell, $5 into $4, back to $4.80. Strange Love, 11 into $7.50, ran a good race. Complex didn't yelp, even though it was back 15 into $8.50. But French Doll, the market found it late, 17 to 11, but plus 40.
Race 6, another favourite gets home, Michael McNabb on Ballon d'Or.
Yeah, and congratulations to the customers.
They got this one.
They got this one, and they got the Quinella. I mean, it only just beat Truce. Truce went favourite for a while. We had Ballon d'Or favourite, then Truce went favourite, and then Ballon d'Or started favourite. So there was money for both of them, and they ran the Quinella, and there was only a nose between them. We mentioned Lantern Way last time with the resuming run, and it's another bit of a black booker up the rail, Lantern Way. So the only problem now is getting out of the gates, and it might have a little bit of the Fongai Who's about it, but hopefully not. But but Lantern Way was good again. So say mark Lantern Way down. I probably would. It was a good run, but they got it dead right. They Quinella the race. Ballon d'Or was 370 into 290 minus 20,000. Truce ended up being 450 into 380.
Speaking of Fungai Who, we head to race 7, the Hawke's Bay Cup, and Mazabine with those tangerine colours once again to the fore, but at around $11. Possibly an okay result for the bookies.
I don't know if it was tangerine colours, but you know what you're saying. You're 100% correct.
Sorry.
No, but doesn't matter. I'm only picking splitting hairs as I like to do. But I'm shocked at the price. $11.60. A big price, isn't it? I mean, we opened 5, not to say, we get it right all the time, which we know we don't. But, I don't know what happened there with that because, she put the writing on the wall to a degree to last start. Really interesting in this race because Nereus, we opened slightest of favourites, and then Fongai Who went favourite, and then in the middle of the day Saturday, Nereus switched back to being favourite, and it ended up being the TRB Hot Horse, ran a good second. But Fongai Who, now this is where the customers sometimes get bunt heads with the marketplace, and this was one of them. I think the marketplace really took a set against Fongai Who simply due to what we're seeing out of the barriers and just what he ends up having to do in a race late. And he did it again. Craig Grills was scrubbing him up to get him going. And meanwhile, he was $5.50 into $4.80, back out to $6, and our customers just kept piling it on. Minus 140,000. Our final return keeps running good races. Then was a speed influence in the race was 12 into 750, and all of ran a much improved race. It was 13 out to 18, back to $13. But everyone missed Mezzabine. 5 out to 11 plus 60.
Race 8 down the chute over the 1,200 metres, and I don't know why they race Slipper Island anywhere else. Slipper Island he loves Trentham and he loves the chute, and he did it. What's that, 3 on the trot now?
Might be 4, is it now?
And the market, it wasn't really. Look, it was a good field to be fair.
Yeah,
but the market probably didn't respect him as much as He should have been.
Yeah, maybe not. Maybe not. Our customers did like him again, and I think the people that have been on the Slipper Island train, were obliged to back him at such a big price, and they got rewarded. It was 9 out to 11, back to 10 late, and it was a losing result. Only a small one, but around minus 10,000. Platinum Attack, boy, that was all the rage. It was hot late. Had its chance, I believe. Platinum Attack, it wasn't that far from them. It was 480 into 290, and gee, the two runs in the race were Pierre and Tomodachi. Pierre first up. Some questions around what was going to happen. Not a massive market move. It probably couldn't afford to be because there's just that uncertainty, but it was hovering around $6 all day. Didn't drift was maybe the best indication around Pierre, and he ran a heck of a race. And gee, Tomodachi. The only reason it eased, I think, was because they were pretty certain it was just going to be giving them too much of a head start, but if it had an ounce more luck at sort of the 300-metre mark, I think it could have picked them up. So Pierre and Tomodachi, boy, great run. Slipper Island, small loss, minus 10.
Final race of the day, race 9, over the 1,100 metres, also down the chute, and it was Albarossa with Craig Grills at $4.50. Surely a nice finish to the day for punters.
Yeah, it was. It was a sort of a break-even result. They backed a few here, but they were sort of all around it to a degree. Albarossa was just eased with the moves for a couple of others, but it was 4 to 460, break even. Debbie Harry again, 3 times in a row. It's been the market mover. This time it nearly got there. $20 into $7. Now, we mentioned Debbie Harry both times. It's been a market mover. And if you'd locked in the $20, you've done really well. And that's the thing. If we keep taking good prices, long term, we're going to win, right? That's the key. So even though we didn't get the yeah, exactly. Not anything I can do, by the way, but like that's the idea, right? Is that if we're locked in $20 on Debbie Harry, we're well on side. It did only run second, sadly. Power of 3 was $9.50 into $8 first up for Cody Cole. Ran a very good race, and it has won second up. Power of 3, so watch that. And Bold Choice, even though it was a drifter, 14 out to $20 was one of the worst ways for the TAB. Very well backed, and had to sit wide, then got a little bit of cover and boxed on strongly. So maybe even though it wasn't a market mover in, there was market support on this one to say Bold Choice might be one to put down in your black book after a gutsy run. But Albarossa break even. Debbie Harry nearly did it for on the nose and market followers, but 20 into 7 only could manage second. So at Trentham all up, it was a roughly $100,000 profit for the TAB, basically down to mezzanine. That was probably the result of the day for us.
Perfect. Righty-ho. That's about it for this week then, Thad. Anything else you wanted to mention before we go? You're okay?
I think we've got it covered, Paulie. We've marked down most things we needed to talk about. Obviously, French Dole was a good result for on the nose followers, but yeah, the ones where they're moving at odds and run well. They've got the support and they run well to back it up. Those are the ones we're keeping an eye on anyway on the nose.
Okay, that's it from the trading room floor for another week, but we'll be back again with another edition of On the Nose.